Welcome, everybody, back to the Metal Command podcast. Tony here with you, and my guest today sings in a very good band called Ashes of Aries, and many of you would also remember him from the band Iced Earth. And, of course, he was in an era of Iced Earth that was very monumental for this show, and that would be Mr. Matthew Barlow. And it's my first time ever talking to you, so I'm really excited to have you here.
Yes, nice to talk to you, Tony.
Yeah, so I gotta go back into the past of this show 27 years ago when it was a radio show, and I will never forget Iced Earth being one of the about 20 or 30 bands that were really influential on me, and meeting you guys for the first time, and it became a big reason why I'm still doing this. So I just want to let you know you did have a pretty big impact on me back then, and I started off with the Dark Saga album. And then the first album for radio that I ended up getting was Something Wicked, which is still one of my favorite albums ever. So definitely really excited to have you here. So you have a new album out, which is pretty interesting. Maybe tell everybody about it. You have an interesting Elton John cover on the album, which I thought was pretty cool. I didn't read the press release. I listened to it. And then when I got to the end of the album, I had to do a double take and think I've heard that song somewhere. Right. So
it was a lot of fun doing that. And we do like to throw a cover in, on the records. It's just fun, when we figure out and factor in the budget and we go, well, we can afford to do one. And it's just kind of a nod to, the people that kind of inspired us. It was actually Freddie's idea originally to do a tribute to Sir Elton, and of course I was all on board. I mean, he's iconic, right? So the trick was kind of trying to find the right tune because he's got so many freaking hits, and we were kind of bouncing back and forth, and my wife is really a fan of this song in particular, and it was like in her rotation and on her YouTube rotation and everything, and just
sure.
She really liked the meaning of the song, dealing with addiction and overcoming that and things like that. So it was really cool. And it was kind of off my radar. And so she introduced it to me. I was like, that's pretty cool. It's got that kind of that ragtime vibe to it. And it's kind of, I can see where I could go with it and get a little bit darker and kind of grittier. And, bounce the idea off of Freddie, and he was like all in. So it was cool because, sometimes you don't, I mean, obviously it is a known song, but not, super well known. So it's kind of like on the edge, it wasn't like taking one of his super hits and trying to make it our own. So we had a little bit of wiggle room, I think, so maybe there's some people that hear it for the first time, with us, and then see what they think, and see if they appreciate the nuances and things that we did differently to try to make it not as poppy of a song.
Yeah.
As it could be, and make it a little bit heavier and darker, and just even with the, I approached the vocals a little bit different style just to kind of give it a kind of a, I don't know. I was kind of inspired by that. A movie that my wife really enjoys, and one of her favorites, like an animated Disney movie, is The Princess and the Frog, and there's a there's a witch doctor in there who does this kind of cool little thing. And for whatever reason, that song kind of reminded me of that character. And so it's dark and kind of grittier with the vocals and, just kind of scattered a little bit,
Yeah. And you had some interesting guests on here. You had Todd LaTorre come on here, on this record. And, I'm going to admit something to you right now. Doing what I do, sometimes I miss albums by bands, and then I end up discovering them, through the thousands of emails that get sent to me every day by publicists and things like that. But I thought it was really cool you had a collaboration with Todd. I thought it was really cool on a previous album you collaborated with Ripper, which I thought was pretty awesome. Who actually was the guy that replaced you in Iced Earth. And you've had some really cool guests on a lot of these albums that you've put out, which I think was pretty impressive.
Well, it's nice that we have friends, you know what I mean? And it's just always kind of that thing, we have people that we know that are friends, and, obviously it just makes sense to do things together, because kind of people always kind of like that, obviously them, people were wondering how something like that even before we actually did a song together, people were doing their own mixes of me and Tim doing a duet to Iced Earth song. So it was just cool. That made total sense. Now, it may not seem like it makes total sense with Todd on this record, because he's actually not singing on it. He's actually drumming.
Yeah, no, that's the thing I thought was kind of cool.
But that's that's his roots, man. That's where he got started in metal. He was a drummer, and he's a great drummer. He's a world-class drummer. He can get up there and jam with anybody, and has apparently. He does that quite a bit when he's on tour. He'll jump behind the kit and do different things with with friends of theirs or what have you. So he really enjoys it. We bounced the idea, and he was like, absolutely. So it just made sense. So he was able to do it in between touring, which he does extensively with Queensryche, and then we were able to talk his writing partner from his solo stuff, Blackwell. We had him do a guest guitar solo on it. He also helped. Well, he produced Todd's drums as well. So whenever they do the record, they do all their stuff in house pretty much. So he's an engineer and a guitar player and all kinds of stuff. So and a songwriter. He writes some really wicked riffs as well. So we had him on there as a guest. We had Charlie, who was our touring guitar player. He did some solo stuff on the record as well, and of course we had Kyle Taylor, who's a longtime friend of Freddie's. Took over for Van's spot in the drum department, and I think that Kyle did a fantastic job. He really did what we asked him to do. Come in there, nail it.
Hey everybody, Tony here from the Metal Command podcast. Again, I appreciate your support. Since 1998, I have hosted this show in one form or another, starting off in radio and now in the podcast format. Again, thanks for watching, and if you like what you see and hear on this show, by all means, please hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell to be notified anytime I do post a video, and if you see this program on any other form of social media, please give me a follow there. Again, I always appreciate your support.